So before my day starts, I'm gonna get this done. I wanted to talk about people's opinions and advice and criticism of anyone's life, but specifically mine, which, having a large family and now being a single parent, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of advice you get. Not to mention, for the last 10 years and all of my parenting days, I've never been around family until recently. So I've never really had to endure as much because friend criticism typically is just different than family criticism. But I wanted to touch on advice is fine, having an opinion is fine, giving some criticism is fine. There's just some things I think people really need to consider before they do so. And that is that you need to, first off, come from a place of love and compassion and understanding that not everybody can do it your way or has the situation to do it your way. If you're not willing to actually walk in that person's shoes and do it the way you're giving it to them and experience their life firsthand that way, then you probably shouldn't give the opinion. Like, a little bit of advice is fine, but that doesn't make it right, because if you're not going to do it, then you really don't have a say. And not to mention, I always ask myself when I see somebody doing something, a parent specifically, I always ask the question, would they do that to harm their children on purpose? Are they harming their children on purpose? Are they harming somebody else or teaching their children to harm somebody else? If they're not harming their children and it's not harming anyone else, then you have to ask the next question. Is there new information that maybe they don't know that I could share with them to make my point so that maybe they can see it? And if they don't, they don't. And thirdly, would I want to receive that criticism? And how can I best give it to them the way that I would want to receive it? Because it's okay for all of us parents and non-parents to help each other, because it takes a village. It's just how you do it and when you do it that's important. If you see a person with a toddler that's tantruming in the middle of Target, there's a lot of T's. That's not the time to criticize their parenting. That's not at all the time. The time would be if you have feasible advice, if you ever see that person again and they have happy kids. It's just not the time. And the other thing is, if you're not willing to walk in that person's shoes, if you would never want that life for yourself, especially coming from somebody who has a big family, if you don't want a big family, then you don't get an opinion on what it means to have a big family, because you would never do it in the first place, so you have no idea how it works. If you tell them all the time, well, that's why I don't have 4 kids, that is unproductive, and it's just another way to demean their choices. And why we feel this need to demean everybody's choices and make ourselves look better, I will never understand. I am totally fine with every person's choice, whether it's to have a big family or a little family, or no kids at all, or never get married or get married, and whatever. I don't care. As long as we just send love into the world, that's all that matters. And look out for each other the best we can. I'm not expecting anybody else to take care of my kids. I do need help, and I ask for help, but at the same time, I don't expect anybody to. It's just I appreciate the fact that I do have people that will. But if you're gonna give advice, just make sure you really consider, is it helpful or is it hurtful? And how can I best give it a way that is helpful and productive? And how can I make sure to push my own pride aside, that if they say, or they just choose not to take the advice, that you're okay with that? Because that matters too. So now I'm gonna sign off so I can get back into work. But don't say things that are demeaning if you don't have to. If you don't want 4 kids, don't tell somebody how you didn't want 4 kids. Because I'm pretty sure the reason you don't have 4 kids is enough to show them that you didn't want them. It's not. I would never look at somebody and say, well, that's why I didn't choose to not have kids. I would never do that because that's demeaning. That's putting down the other person's choice to not have kids. And it's okay. It's okay if nobody wants kids. It's okay if people want kids. It's okay that I have 4 kids. Just give love. And if you're going to give advice, and if you're going to give me advice, that's great. I will take it. But just give love at the same time. That's the most important thing here. Unless someone is hurting their child, neglecting their child, just give love.